This is Patrick.
Hey Patrick, this is Josiah. Sorry for the late call. I just wanted to let you know that I spoke to my supervisor, and she says that you're a fat faggot with bitch tits, so the article is canceled.
Oh, well, the problem with that, sweetie, is that we already figured that out.
You already figured out that you're a fat faggot with bitch tits?
No, we already figured out that you're a complete posing liar, and by the way, you weren't the only person.
Oh, okay. Is that why you did like 2 hours of interviews with me? You're just that intelligent?
Yes, child.
What'd you say?
So what do... Yes, child. So what do you think you're going to do with those 2 hours of interviews exactly? Go ahead and explain it to me.
I'm gonna post them on YouTube.
Good for you, child. What do you think that's going to accomplish other than showing you to the sociopath and loser that you are?
It's also gonna show that you're a gullible liar, and that you're also fat.
No, child, it won't, because I didn't lie to you in any of those interviews. That's the only...
What you just heard was a short clip from a series of hour-long phone interviews that Patrick S. Tomlinson did in 2021 with a troll from the Opie and Anthony subreddit. Having been deceived by the troll into believing he was being interviewed for a Huffington Post article, Patrick spent hours on the phone detailing and at some points greatly exaggerating the trolling he had experienced over the past 2 years. The troll, who went by the name Josiah, listened for hours as Patrick described all of the things he'd experienced at the hands of the Opie and Anthony subreddit. It wasn't until the 5th interview that Josiah revealed his true intentions to Patrick. Points throughout the call, Pat explodes with rage as the reality sets in that he has been duped yet again.
Shut your fucking mouth, you stupid little baby infant. You misrepresented
Is this what
who
you
are
did to your
in
school
order to
teachers every time they
falsely fraud-
proved you
Shut
wrong?
your fucking mouth!
Discovering he had just spent months of his life feeding secret information about his lawsuit to an O&A troll, Patrick was understandably devastated. But what led up to this dramatic exchange? In today's video, we're going to cover the covert online war between Patrick and O&A and the lawsuit that it spawned. A lawsuit that would ultimately end up being a costly and humiliating experience for Patrick. Now let's take a step back and see how this all started. When we left off in the previous video, Patrick's Twitter comeback, facilitated by a $5,000 mediation through an attorney, had reunited him with his most cherished possession. But he didn't just want to celebrate his victory. He wanted to get revenge. At this point, he had already spent nearly a year combating the trolls that gathered on r/Opie and Anthony. During this period, the subreddit had a huge number of users mocking Patrick's weight, drawing crude parody images of him, and some even leaving a steady supply of insulting comments and messages for him to respond to. But after some time, Patrick discovered a tool to enhance his battle against the subreddit. Utilizing Reddit's copyright complaint submission tool for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, either Patrick or someone in his circle purportedly submitted a series of complaints asserting ownership of copyrighted material, including parody drawings depicting his likeness, screenshots of his posts, and other content mocking him. While DMCA takedown requests are usually used by movie and record studios to prevent the piracy of copyrighted media online, users of the Opie and Anthony subreddit claim that Patrick exploited this same complaint system to remove any posts that mentioned him. Once Patrick DMCA claimed a post, Reddit immediately removed it from the site to prevent legal issues. One of the main reasons this tactic was so successful is because in order to counter a DMCA takedown notice and get the post restored, the original poster had to share their full name and address with Patrick and Reddit as part of the counterclaim. It's thought that Patrick was taking down these posts on Reddit with the hopes a poster would dox themselves so that he could further target them and smear them online. It was quite a dirty trick. Some of Opie and Anthony's users were even surprised by it. Because of Reddit's rules, doxing was not common on the subreddit. Even though it was over a year since the drama began, many trolls still had very little info on Patrick outside of his social media and Reddit posts. This soon would change, and what they would expose about his past shocked everyone, and it adds another level of depth to this entire case. Stick around because I'll be going over their discoveries in depth a little later in the series. You won't want to miss it. The subreddit, which had over 30,000 subscribers, could not handle these reports. Eventually, in a last-ditch effort to survive, the sub went private. But it was too little too late, and r/Opie and Anthony was well beyond saving. In September of 2019, 1 year after the Norm Macdonald tweet was first posted, the sub was banned by Reddit admins because of the huge amount of reports it had accumulated. Patrick took to Twitter to celebrate this win, and was not shy to gloat about how happy it made him. After a year of fighting these trolls, Patrick finally held 2 victories tightly under his belt. But as we'll soon learn, this success would not last for long. In the aftermath, the remaining trolls scattered to various backup subreddits. For a short while, Reddit admins played a game of whack-a-mole against them. They would ban an Opie and Anthony subreddit, and the users would quickly migrate to the next one and continue posting. During this time, Patrick didn't try to stop responding to trolls either. Opie and Anthony refugees could simply visit Patrick's Reddit account to find their newest subreddit, as Patrick left daily comments arguing with trolls in them. But eventually, the trolls that were still interested, undoubtedly because of the reactions they got out of Patrick, had to seek a better platform to continue their mockery of Patrick. So, they finally made an exodus from Reddit. This period of ONA history is hard to research. There's just no traces left of it. They really jumped around from numerous sites and platforms during this time. They even had a domain name that was regularly updated to redirect them to wherever their newest online hangout was. It was a tumultuous time for the group, as they were being booted from a growing list of Reddit clones and forums. By now, the sub of over 30,000 people had shrunk to a fraction of its former size. With many users growing tired of trolling Patrick, or Pat posting as they called it, the group became distilled down to those most dedicated to Pat posting. This group all shared their love of trolling Patrick and baiting him for responses. Like trolling fanatics, many collected these responses and shared them with each other, trying to elicit the most humorous and humiliating ones they could. Unfortunately, Patrick's insistence on engaging with the trolls provided them with a steady source of material.
Hey, what's up, dog? Hey, what's your problem?
Kill yourself.
Hey, yo, what up? This Tyrone.
Fuck off.
Yo, you there?
Eventually, though, the trolls found a suitable place to call home, a simple web forum that one of the more tech-savvy members created. With a new online headquarters, the group became known as O&A Forums. This forum has gone through a variety of changes since it was started sometime in early 2021, but the entire time, as far as I could tell, it's always been owned and moderated by a lone O&A member by the name of Quasi. During this period, Quasi seemed to play a minor role in the community, and was mostly active behind the scenes as he was busy running and maintaining the forum. However, he would later take on a major role in this saga, in a way you'll never guess, and is arguably one of the most important people in this whole story. At this point in our tale, however, he's mostly behind the scenes, quietly moderating the forum. This new forum has some different rules than the old subreddit did, and this changed the nature of the trolling done against Patrick. Doxing was now allowed, and it was pretty much everything goes, excluding posts that broke the law. Users quickly began using the forum to organize raids and share the different ways they trolled Patrick. The trolls began to focus on prank calls, text messages, and spoof emails as a means to troll Patrick, as his phone number and address were shared widely across the website. Thousands of posts depict Patrick facing trolling, losing his temper, and falling for bait, accompanied by unflattering images mocking his appearance. Additionally, users soon discovered they could inundate Patrick's books with one-star reviews, damaging their ratings and hampering their sales. The flood of book reviews would ultimately be what broke the levee. In January of 2021, over a year after the saga had began, Patrick filed a tort lawsuit in the state of Milwaukee against 60 anonymous John Does. The John Does, all anonymous internet posters, were meant to be identified by this lawsuit so that Patrick could not only sue them, but dox their personal information and smear their reputations online as well. Tomlinson did not fund this lawsuit by himself, however. Forum users later revealed that Tomlinson was granted last-minute membership to the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, also known as SFWA, in order to receive access to legal funds for his litigation. There's a lot to be said about this SFWA group. There's some very questionable things going on with them, and I'm going to delve into the dark secrets of this organization in a later episode because it's definitely worth doing, and there's a lot to cover with them. But for now, all you need to know is Patrick obviously had some kind of connections with the people in charge of SFWA. They let him into the group and allowed him to appropriate their funds to pay for his lawsuit against 60 anonymous internet trolls. SFWA is mainly funded by membership dues, so for a new guy to just show up, be granted membership, and immediately get handed a bunch of the members' money for a crazy lawsuit seems a bit odd in my opinion. Seems that SFWA were also very interested in silencing O&A forums, for reasons we will delve into later. Following the news of the lawsuit, many on the forum changed their online identities or completely jumped ship, worried their wrongdoings against Patrick would be uncovered. However, the forum remained public, and the trolling and pat posting continued on as scheduled. Many of the trollees seemed completely unfazed by the lawsuit and laughed at the notion their identities could be uncovered. It was as if they knew something Patrick did not. And as we're soon to find out, there was a big twist in this legal case, lurking in the shadows. The primary target of Patrick's lawsuit was none other than Quasi, the owner of O&A forums. Tomlinson's lawsuit sought to forcibly extract the other 59 John Does information from Quasi, and to sue him for running the forum and leaving a negative review on Patrick's Goodreads page. Goodreads is a site that lets users rate and review books, and Patrick spends a lot of time there leaving 5-star reviews on his own books, and attacking anybody that leaves poor reviews on his work, trolls or not. Plenty of innocent readers have been caught in this crossfire between Tomlinson and the trolls, even being threatened with legal action and violence by Patrick because they decided to rate his book less than 5 stars. Patrick was seeking over $1 million in this lawsuit, as he alleged the negative reviews hurt his sales and that they were done to sabotage his ratings. Upon closer inspection, many claims made in the lawsuit seemed dubious. For example, one of the John Does was a book reviewer named Poopballs, who left a single review on one of Patrick's books simply saying, "Not good." While this may have offended Patrick, you have to ask if this is even worth including in the lawsuit. I can't go over all of the complaints Patrick made in the suit, or what each John Doe did to be targeted by Patrick, but know that it was filled with small, unnecessary things like this. Any person that Patrick felt slighted by on the forums was included in this lawsuit. Patrick may very well have had a legal case against the forums, but it was weakened by the inclusion of petty things like this, and it's why the case was ultimately derailed in an expensive and epic fashion. During the Josiah incident, Patrick found himself entangled in a web of deception when evidence concocted by trolls was introduced. Concurrently, another O&A troll known as Space Edge, operating under the alias Thomas Apostle, was conducting an undercover operation aimed at exposing journalist Seth Simons. In the intricate narrative he crafted, Patrick became an unwitting participant. On apostlegate.net, the blog where he chronicles the events, Space Edge recounts how he persuaded Simons that he was operating covertly within the forums. He asserted that he successfully identified several trolls, including Quasi and even himself. Space Edge provided Simons with fictitious names and alleged that Quasi was a New York-based Indian man named Rahul Kumar. These fabricated details were subsequently incorporated into an article by Simons for the New Republic, which eventually became a part of Patrick's legal proceedings. However, the New Republic later amended the article to alert readers that the author's assertions had been debunked. This entire saga not only discredited Seth Simons as a journalist, but brought Patrick's lawsuit crumbling down. Because Patrick wanted to unmask the owner of O&A forums and get information on the site's users, the lawsuit involved warrants to access data belonging to Cloudflare and Google, both located in California. As a result, a lot of the case played out in the California courts. To Patrick's surprise, Quasi hired a lawyer and fought to quash these warrants on the grounds that his website was legal and protected by the First Amendment. I think one of the biggest flaws in Patrick's plan was that he never expected Quasi to do this. I also don't know why he didn't try to fact-check some of the ludicrous claims that were made in the lawsuit. A lot of the evidence included was straight-up fabricated by O&A forums members, solely to fuck with Patrick and tank his lawsuit. Ultimately, Quasi emerged the victor of the lawsuit. However, it would be years before he would be paid the money he was owed by Tomlinson. Patrick refused to pay.
So we are currently $50,000 in debt to the people who are trying to kill us, to the people who have repeatedly tried to kill us. They now have the ability to put a lien on our home and possibly bankrupt us.
Oh, they're really going right now.
Yeah. So yeah, because we haven't paid, we're not going to pay. But because we're fighting against this obscenity of a decision, as of a couple of days ago, I'm facing a contempt of court hearing next month. So these people have the potential of putting me in jail because I won't pay them, because we won't pay them for the privilege of being terrorized.
Quasi had to have the debt localized in Wisconsin to continue pursuing Patrick, and eventually the court ruled that Patrick would be jailed if he did not pay Quasi what he was owed. Afraid of going to jail and desperate to remain a free man, Patrick finally paid $40,000, which was only the first part of the debt. Because of Patrick's stubbornness and refusal to pay even after being ordered by the courts, he also racked up a large amount of interest on the debt he owed. The original $50,000 Patrick owed Quasi, by the time things were over, had swelled to a massive $70,000. As of the time this video was uploaded, Patrick had paid the first debt, but still owed Quasi another $30,000. At this time, Quasi is still working with the courts to have this debt localized in Wisconsin, so that Patrick will be forced to pay it. Like the first time around, if Patrick refuses to pay it, he will be thrown in jail. However, as we will soon learn, this wouldn't be Patrick's first encounter with the legal system, nor his first instance of facing potential imprisonment. Tune into the next episode, where we will be covering the crimes, humiliations, and horrors hidden in Patrick's past. When the O&A forum's pests started digging into Patrick's criminal history and the details of his first marriage, they couldn't believe what they were reading. The most shocking and horrific part of this story is yet to come. Catch you next time on Cryptic Web Chronicles.